Welcome to our exploration of the Indus Valley Civilization. This society was very advanced but vanished mysteriously. How could cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro just fade away?
It's definitely a mystery. The Indus Valley was amazing for its city planning and buildings. They had good drainage systems and used the same size bricks. But why did this civilization decline? Was it due to something about the environment or technology we don't know?
Changes in rivers and long droughts could have been big problems. The Indus people relied on monsoon rains, and a major climate change could have been disastrous. But do we have proof of this?
Besides environmental issues, think about their society and ideas. They didn't have big palaces or monuments. Was their society very different? And did this lead to their fall? Maybe there are important lessons about philosophy here.
If ancient societies disappeared, what does that say about civilizations? Are we just a moment in time, too? Was the Indus Valley's simple social structure actually very clever? Maybe we miss this today.
We might not fully understand ancient social systems because there are no written records. We mostly use archaeology, which doesn't show everything about a civilization like its hierarchy. Maybe the political system was spread out, which didn't help when environmental issues started.
That's interesting, Ryan. The Indus Valley had very early examples of water engineering, like public baths. They seem to know a lot about managing water. Did changes in rivers hurt this important part of their society?
Exactly. Some say they traded with Mesopotamia. Losing trade routes because of river changes could have hurt their economy. But why didn't they adapt like other ancient societies? Was some knowledge lost, or did they not want to change?
Are we seeing a story of a society that didn't adapt to new climates and economies? Or is it our own lack of understanding of their strategies? We've talked about different parts of the Indus Valley mystery environment, social structures, lost technologies, and trade routes. Are we looking at them with modern thinking and missing what really mattered to them?
Yes, our view is not complete. Think about the Indus script, we haven't figured it out yet. Could the reasons for their collapse be hidden in these symbols, kept away by time? This script might change what we know about early communication and government.
But even if we decode the script, it might not solve the mystery. Science needs skepticism and careful methods. We risk making stories that fit incomplete evidence. It's good to question and rethink historical facts.
True, and the history of knowledge is full of mistakes and discoveries. Like the Library of Alexandria, what if the Indus Valley has similar hidden stories and changes? What we call lost might be waiting to be found again in a different way.
Maybe the real mystery isn't just why they disappeared, but why we keep looking for simple answers in a complex world. Is our need to solve historical mysteries a sign of our own fears about the civilization we are building? As we look at the amazing and strange technologies of the Indus Valley, what do we really know about their engineering? Could something new be hiding right in front of us?
Yes, their city planning was incredible. They built using grids with exact sizes and the same brick size everywhere. It's like they used a building plan, but we don't fully know their tools and methods. Did they have a type of surveying tool that got lost over time?
Interesting idea, Guy. Archaeologists say they used advanced ovens for bricks. They were made at high heat to last longer. This shows a smart use of materials, like today's steel-making methods. What else can we learn from these ways?
Their city design shows they understood their surroundings well. They might have used old knowledge about water in ways we don't think of. Could their methods be like modern green designs, like copying nature for natural efficiency?
Can these old ways teach us about sustainable practices we've missed in today's engineering? Do we often ignore ancient innovation because we think progress only goes forward?
The thought of lost innovations is interesting. Look at their water systems more than just for survival. The Great Bath in Mohenjo-daro is one such wonder. Some say it had religious importance, suggesting a mix of culture and technology we don't see. What past customs had practical uses?
Some lost technologies might have been ignored by later groups, changing what we remember in history. But having such systems in many parts of life could mean they were advanced in many ways. Does this change how we see an advanced civilization?
If these advances were linked with their culture, it's something to think about. Maybe we don't value technology that isn't like our own. Did the Indus Valley have a society plan we don't understand yet?
Maybe the mystery is not only in understanding their technologies, but seeing that their world might have worked differently. Have we been asking the right questions all along? When we talk about the Indus Valley Civilization disappearing, are we guessing too much? Maybe it didn't end, but changed in a way we don't understand.
That's a good thought, Michelle. Some think the civilization broke into smaller parts or joined other groups. Maybe they spread their ideas slowly. Did these changes get lost because they weren't big events?
It could be. Smaller towns found outside the big cities suggest change, but it's harder to spot change if it doesn't leave ruins or objects. This is where science meets history, showing how people lived and used resources.
True, Ryan. We should also think about culture. If they valued nature and working together more than big buildings, maybe we're missing how they lived. Did their disappearance really mean saying something about how empires don't last?
Sonia's idea is interesting. Do we look at history too much like a story with a start and end, missing how it keeps changing?
Yes, their art, like pottery and jewelry, had detailed designs. This might show how they mixed old and new styles quietly.
And let's think about technology differently here. Maybe they moved from building large cities to small, eco-friendly ways of living. Their city planning is still seen in how other places built things later.
If they changed instead of disappearing, we might need to think about what we call collapse. Maybe history labels hide small, important changes in their society. We might be seeing a picture that's not complete.
In the end, do our ideas about the Indus Valley's end show our own opinions more than what really happened? Are we missing how old societies might renew instead of just end? As we talk about the Indus Valley Civilization, are we just finding new ideas while losing old ones? Does this civilization really disappear, or are we missing a big change that history doesn't see?
That's interesting, Michelle. We often think ancient civilizations suddenly end. But the Indus Valley might have changed into smaller communities. I read they might have started living as nomads, joining other cultures. Is this really a collapse, or is it a new way of living?
This idea of slow change is interesting. From a science view, it fits with how living things adapt. They might have switched from big farming to different, smaller farms because of changing weather. This shows they understood how to adapt.
Exactly, Ryan. Their social systems might have focused more on community than on leaders. Smaller groups could live together well but quietly. Their culture might have valued sustainability like some groups do today. Are we missing this small success because we focus on big achievements?
This raises a key point. Do we only see civilizations declining by their big stories? Could the Indus Valley's ideas give us another way to see how societies survive?
Maybe, Michelle. Look at their artifacts, like detailed seals. Experts think they use them for trade and rituals, showing how mixed their daily life was with spirituality. It suggests they valued unity, not by size or power, but in daily actions and beliefs.
And when we talk about values, we should think about how these beliefs fit into today's world. Their focus on balanced ecosystems matches current studies on society's relation to the environment. The so-called rural retreat might have been a smart ecological plan.
Yes, and thinking more, ancient knowledge often came in myths, stories with deep messages. Do these stories have truths that question our views on progress? If we look at the Indus Valley society this way, maybe we can learn from their ideas of sustainable living for our time.
Our discussion gives us more questions than answers. But isn't that what makes history interesting? Maybe learning about civilizations like the Indus Valley is not about finding one answer, but about always looking for more understanding. Could this search teach us about ourselves and those we lost? As we end talking about the Indus Valley Civilization, let's think about this mysterious culture. Are we really seeing its story, or are we making up our own story about it?
It's interesting to think about. The detailed city designs of places like Harappa show planning we don't fully understand. Could their building techniques teach us about our future?
The challenge is how we understand them. We rely a lot on things they left behind, which only gives small hints about their skills. Think about their bricks and sewage systems. They cared more about sustainability than looking rich. What if we have ignored old lessons that are still important?
Looking at the Indus Valley through our culture can confuse their real values. Maybe they cared about living with nature, something we often forget today. Can thinking about why they disappeared help us embrace their strength as their true legacy?
It makes us ask, do our studies show more about what we want than what was true for past civilizations? Are we missing the details of their life?
Maybe the splitting up of the Indus Valley led to change, not an end. Their ideas could have spread to other areas, quietly affecting new cultures. Could their thoughts and inventions be part of later human progress?
Yes. Science shows us to look at history with doubt and openness. New scientific discoveries often change what we know about history. When putting this history together, we must think about how complex it is.
What if the Indus legacy is not just their buildings, but in stories we haven't found yet? Myths and traditions might help us understand their answers in a bigger context, connecting us to old knowledge.
Today, we talked about the Indus Valley, from their timelines to their technology, their thoughts to their legacy. We have more questions than answers, but maybe that's the beauty of exploring history. We learn not just to solve a mystery, but to keep seeking understanding. Could this be our ongoing legacy?